Hey, good morning everybody. Today we're out at Copper testing the Endeavour Scout Legacy. Let's get into it. All right, real quick for reference, before I jump into the tech, I'm 5'10", I weigh around 155 pounds, and I'm riding this snowboard in size 156. Now, Endeavour describes this snowboard as a freestyle-inspired powder snowboard. It's got like a classic directional all-mountain free ride outline, so you are gonna get that directional shape with a little bit more nose outside the front contact points for more surface area up front. It has a slight taper as well, around a 12mm taper, narrowing the tail of the snowboard, but it does have a centered stance in the side cut. So at the reference stance, even though it has that directional shape, it's gonna have a little bit more of a twinish, freestyle-y feel to it. And it also has a 26cm waist width, so it's a little bit above average width-wise, slightly volume shifted design, so this snowboard can be ridden at a smaller size if you want a little bit more maneuverability. That width is going to increase the overall surface area of the snowboard as well, so that combined with the taper and the directional outline are all going to work together to give this board a nice benefit in soft snow and help you out on those powder days. It does run a camber dominant profile, so it's going to be positive camber from your front foot back to the tail of the snowboard with a slight rocker blend outside your front foot leading into the nose. Again, to help it out in powder a little bit, that's also going to make it a little bit easier to initiate turns and just make it a little bit mellower on hard packs. Another big highlight with this snowboard, specifically on the Legacy version of the Scout, is that you're going to get a pre-tensioned fiberglass top sheet. So that's a continuously laminated fiberglass for the top sheet here. It's going to act as a structural layer to give the board more energy, combined with 11 carbon stringers running from tip to tail down the length of the snowboard. It's going to really amplify the pop and snap you're able to get out of this thing while keeping it nice and lightweight. Other than that, you're also going to find urethane sidewalls in this snowboard to help provide a little bit of dampening and smooth the ride out a little bit as you're out there exploring, as well as a sintered base, which is a harder base material known to be more durable compared to an extruded base and faster. We do want to make sure to wax it regularly to maintain a nice fast feel out there. And that's going to be it for a quick tech breakdown on this one. We're going to get these laps going and we'll check back in later in the day. All right guys, it's been a nice day cruising around here at Copper. I've also spent a little bit of time on this snowboard out on a pretty deep day in the backcountry, so I'll give some feedback on how this thing feels in powder as well. But to start, let's talk about the flex. So overall, this is a pretty powerful, definitely more advanced snowboard. It comes through with quite a bit of stability. I'd say definitely on the stiffer side of medium flex wise. Pretty sturdy snowboard. I don't think you're gonna be finding that it's lacking in that department at all. And kind of going along with that, it is also a very energetic snowboard as well. That camber, that Phonon top sheet, all the carbon in this thing really provide a lot of snap, a lot of pop, above average in my opinion. I did spend some time playing around doing some butters and flat ground stuff on the Scout today, and that's not a highlight for me with this one. It's gonna make you work pretty hard to get flex out of the snowboard, and it has quite a precise feel as well, so you really wanna be paying attention to your edges, making sure you're not hooking up, because this board is pretty locked in. You know, I took this board through some park laps here at Copper as well, and when it comes to more freestyle focused riding, this is definitely going to be better suited for exploring the resort, looking for those natural features, drops, maybe even doing some hits in the powder, that kind of stuff. But if you do want to take it into the park, it's going to be a little bit more of a novelty with the directionality in the snowboard, but not something I would necessarily avoid. With the stability you find in this thing, it's going to be a little bit more on the jump leaning side of the spectrum. It's got plenty of stability to step up to the largest features in the park. If you want to hit the XL line, this thing is going to back you up on that. But you know, it does take a bit of an adjustment to get used to the precision that you find in this thing. Even on jumps, it's really locked in coming off the lip, which is kind of nice, but just had to get used to it a little bit. And honestly made me a little bit hesitant on the jibs. I wouldn't say this is the jibbiest snowboard, especially in the 156. You know, I chose this size for the review because I was planning on just taking a more all mountain free ride, focus and approach testing the board. And for that style of riding, this thing is amazing. It's a lot of fun. It's just an all-around resort board with some maybe more novelty park laps, but I do think if I would have sized down one more size, this would actually be a pretty fun all-around park board as well. You know, it wouldn't be quite as strong for free riding. I think this, you could actually do some proper free riding with it. But you know, at a smaller size, it'd be more maneuverable, be a little bit more flexy. And you know, it does have that centered stance. So I think it could feel good in the park, depending what size you want to get and what your main use for the board is going to be. This thing is actually pretty versatile, and the feel is going to change a lot, I think, from size to size. It does ride switch very comfortably as well, which is also a nice bonus for the park. It's got that 12 millimeters of taper that might throw you off a little bit, but I didn't really feel it was something I had to get used to at all. I just felt comfortable right away. Anytime you pop a 180, swivel to your switch stance, feels pretty comfortable and natural. I also want to talk about the carving experience you're going to get with the Scout Legacy here. It was one of the biggest highlights for me on this one right from the very first lap. It's got a very confident feel on the groomers and a nice locked in precision as well. The 156, you're gonna get that 26 centimeter waist, so that's a little bit above average, giving you some extra width to unlock those deeper carves without having to worry about much heel or toe drag, unless you have a very large boot size, but 26 is definitely a little bit above average. And it does have a 7-meter side cut as well. So I'd say that's actually a little bit tight for this style of snowboard, which gives it a more nimble, almost more aggressive feel when it comes to carving. When you get this board on edge, it just wants to go. It's locked in, and it has very strong edge hold as well with that positive camber. And even though it is a little bit wider, I didn't feel like it really took much extra work at all to get on edge. It just felt very natural, very comfortable. I think maybe that reverse blend in the nose just kind of smoothed out that turn initiation a little bit. But overall, very strong carving snowboard, gonna handle Euro carves, gonna handle those high-speed bomber runs without giving you any chatter, and it's got this ability to power through some crud and chunder as well, because that flex is gonna match torsionally as well. It's fairly stiff torsionally, and like I said, that's one of the overall biggest highlights of the character and personality of this one. And like I mentioned, I was also able to get this board out on a very deep day out here in Colorado. It snowed over 20 inches. We had that very light, low moisture content, just dry, fluffy powder. And this board did quite well. You know, it's got that directional outline, it's got the width for more surface area, and it's got the taper to help you out in the soft snow. I will say on a deep day like I took it out, I wish it would have set the stance back just a little bit. I think that would have helped keep the nose up a little bit better, because it was just so deep and dry. It was just very easy for that nose to get under. But even in those conditions, this board did pretty well. We were on some pretty low angle powder also. So it floats good. You know, it's not going to be like a full-on powder specific board like a fish or anything. It's not going to be able to have that boaty, low angle, deep powder floaty feel, but you know, cruising around the resort on a powder day, getting into some steeper stuff and some pow, or you know, if you set that stance back on a low angle deep day, I think it would hold it down just fine. Also, you know, not going to be quite as nimble as a powder specific board, or maybe even something like the Archetype on the Endeavour lineup, but does have a lot to help you out on those deep days, and isn't a board I would hesitate to take out even on the deepest days. If this was like your one board, do it all quiver for the resort, I think you could take it out confidently and still have a good time without burning your back leg out too much. Overall, the biggest standouts for me on the Scout Legacy is the combination of the energy and the precision you're gonna get out of this snowboard wrapped in that versatile directional package. So if you're like a more all mountain free ride oriented rider, just looking for an all around resort board, something you can take out any day, know you're gonna have a good time, consider the Endeavour Scout Legacy. I had a really fun time on it. I'm glad we got to get it in a nice variety of conditions out here. If you're interested in trying this snowboard, or anything on the Endeavour line for that matter, I can actually get you guys 20% off with the link down in the description below. So please make sure to go check that out. If you have any questions for us, leave them down in the comments, and please make sure to drop a like before you leave if you got some value. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you for watching today. We will see you in a new review next time. Take care, everybody.